You cooked something good tonight. The kitchen still smells of it. You wiped the counter, you dried your hands, and then your eyes went down to the burners. And there it is again. That black crust around the burner caps, thick and sticky and baked hard, sitting there so long it looks like part of the stove now. And you have fought it. $9 on a spray that promised everything. A rough sponge that scratched more than it lifted. 20 minutes of scrubbing on a Sunday afternoon until your knuckles were sore. And at the end of it, the burner still looked 80% as bad as when you started. So let me say something plainly before anything else. It was never your arm. It was never that you did not try hard enough. It is that scrubbing cannot do this job at all. Not yours, not anybody's. And in about 10 minutes of actual work, with 2 things already sitting in your kitchen and about $3, I am going to show you why. My name is Maya Sato. I am 58 years old, and I keep an old wooden house in the mountains of Nagano, the house my grandmother raised me in. I have cooked on a gas stove every single day for 43 years. Rice in the morning, something simmering by 4 in the afternoon. I do not think anyone alive has splashed more oil onto more burner grates than I have. So here is the whole of it, named out loud before we begin. Plain white vinegar, baking soda, 1 large plastic freezer bag, a dry paper towel, a soft cloth, a little dish soap and a piece of plastic wrap for the stovetop itself, and 1 small habit at the end, 30 seconds a week, which decides whether you ever have to do any of this again. 6 things. About $3 the first time, pennies after that. 10 minutes of your hands, 30 minutes of sitting down, and burners that come back to the light. I have put my whole old way of keeping a house into one place. The methods, the repairs, the habits my grandmother ran an entire home on, with almost no money. I call it Maya's Library. That is for those of you who want it. I will not mention it here again. If you want it, the link is below. Let me start with what nearly everyone gets wrong, because if you do not understand this part, none of the rest will hold. Every time you cook, you are throwing a fine rain into the air, tiny droplets of oil, of sauce, of fat coming off the pan, too small to see, and they land on the grates and the burner caps, because those are the closest things there are to the flame. Then the flame comes on again and bakes them, and again the next day, layer over layer, hundreds of times a year, until what is sitting on your burner is not grease anymore at all. It is a hard black varnish. Now here is the thing about that varnish. It is not stuck there because it is strong. It is stuck because the fat and the heat made a bond, a chemical one, and a chemical bond does not care about your arm. You can lean on it with a wire pad for an hour, and you will only polish it smoother. You are bringing force to a chemistry problem, so we are not going to scrub it. We are going to dissolve it. You fight chemistry with chemistry, and both chemicals are already in your kitchen. The first is plain white vinegar. Plain. Not the apple cider one with the nice label. Not the dark one you keep for salads. The cheapest clear white vinegar on the bottom shelf, about $1 for a big bottle. What matters in it is the acetic acid, and the cheap bottle has exactly as much of that as the expensive one. The second is baking soda. The same box standing open on a shelf in your refrigerator right now, about $1 as well. Vinegar is an acid. Baking soda is a base. Bring them together on baked grease and they react, foaming up in front of your eyes, and that reaction lifts the loosened grime off the metal from underneath. That is the whole science of it. $2. So, The first thing, and do not skip it, the stove is off, and every piece is cold to the touch. Not warm, cold. A warm grate will drink the vinegar off in evaporation, and you want it lying still and working. Lift the grates off, the heavy pieces your pans rest on, onto a folded towel on the counter, so they do not scar the counter or slide while you work. Then the burner caps, those small round covers that sit on top of each burner head. Some will lift straight up. Some will feel welded down by the crust around the base. And this is where people break things. They yank. Do not yank. Take a dry cloth. Hold the cap through the cloth and twist gently as you lift. It will let go. Now look at what was underneath. That ring of buildup around the burner base is the part of your stove you have honestly never seen clean. One more thing before anything wet touches it, and this is the step most people skip, and then wonder why their results came out good instead of perfect. Take a dry paper towel and give each grate and each cap one quick pass, not scrubbing. One pass, dry. You are lifting off the loose crumbs and ash so the vinegar meets the grime directly, instead of a layer of dust. Now, the soak. This one step is worth about 70% of everything you are going to see tonight. Take a large plastic freezer bag, a gallon bag, the big kind, and put one grate inside it, or 2 burner caps. Then pour in 2 cups of plain white vinegar. That is about 500 milliliters straight from the bottle. Cold, no water, nothing added. 2 cups covers a standard grate once you have pressed the air out of the bag. For the heavy cast iron grates, make it 3 cups, about 750 milliliters in a second bag. Whatever sits above the vinegar comes out exactly as dirty as it went in. Seal the bag, pressing the air out as you seal it, so the vinegar closes in around the metal instead of pooling underneath. One gentle shake. Lay it flat on the counter. Do the other pieces the same way. No bags. A shallow plastic tub does the same job. Everything submerged. And now the hard part, which is doing nothing. 30 minutes. A full 30 minutes. This is where nearly everyone ruins it. They look at the bag after 5 minutes. The vinegar is just lying there looking like water. They decide it is not doing anything, and they pull the piece out. It looks like nothing is happening because nothing visible is happening. The acetic acid is working underneath, down at the bond, and it needs the whole 30 minutes to get through a crust that took 2 years to build. So walk away. Make tea. I put the iron kettle on and sit out on the ingawa, the wooden veranda at the back of my house, for the length of 1 cup. Then come back and look at the bag before you open it. The vinegar will be brown, and you will see flakes and dark threads of grease drifting loose in it. That is your burner. It is not attached to anything anymore, and that is only half of it. What comes next is the part my neighbor stood in this kitchen and refused to believe, until I made her watch it. 30 seconds where the burner finishes the job by itself, and your hands are nowhere near it. Lift the pieces out of the vinegar and set them back on the towel. Wet. Do not rinse them. I know every instinct you have is telling you to rinse. Do not. That film of vinegar sitting on the metal is half of the next reaction. Now the baking soda. 2 level tablespoons over each grate, about 30 grams. 2 ordinary soup spoons, leveled off with your finger, straight onto the wet surface. Then 1 level tablespoon over each burner cap, about 15 grams. Cover the dark places, especially, and step back a little. It will foam. It comes up white and loud and looks almost alive. And inside that foam, the acid and the base are meeting and pushing every last loosened speck up off the metal. Let it sit 3 to 5 minutes, not longer. Once the foam falls flat, it is finished, and after that it only dries into a paste you have to wash off. Then take a soft, damp cloth and wipe. Gently, one pass, the flat of your hand, no pressure at all, and you will feel the black come away in a sheet under the cloth, and the metal underneath will be bright. Keep turning the cloth to a clean part until nothing more comes off. Then rinse under warm water. Now you rinse, and dry every piece thoroughly before it goes back on the stove, because water left sitting in the burner ports is how you get a lazy yellow flame in the morning. Then hold a grate up to the window and look at the grooves. 10 minutes of your own hands, and you never pressed once. And now the part I said would annoy you. None of this is new. Acid-dissolving baked fat is the oldest chemistry in a kitchen, and the people who make the $9 spray have known it since before I was born. But a $1 bottle that also does your kettle and your windows is not a business. A bottle you finish in 6 weeks is a business, not a conspiracy. Arithmetic. They are not selling you a stronger chemical. They are selling you a smaller bottle. Now, while those grates were lying in the bag, you had 30 free minutes, and the stovetop itself was sitting there dirty. So here is the second recipe, and this one has no vinegar in it at all. Equal parts dish soap and baking soda, 1 part to 1 part, however much your stove needs. For a normal 4-burner stovetop, that is 3 level tablespoons of baking soda, about 45 grams, and 3 level tablespoons of dish soap, about 45 milliliters, stirred in a small bowl into a thick gray paste that holds the line when you drag a finger through it. If it runs back together, add 1 more level tablespoon of soda. Spread it over the stovetop with your fingers, right onto the burned rings and the brown splash marks, thick enough that you cannot see the enamel through it. Then the trick. Take a sheet of plastic wrap and lay it straight down on the paste, and press it gently so it touches the surface everywhere. That is the whole point. A dry paste has stopped working. A wet paste keeps working. 15 minutes under the wrap. Go and check your bags. Come back. Peel the wrap off and wipe with a damp cloth in slow circles, and the burned rings come up with it. No pressing. No aching wrist in the morning. And now the last piece. The one that actually matters, because everything until now is a cure. And a cure is something you keep buying over and over with your Sunday afternoons, once a week, not once a month. Once a week, after the last pan comes off and everything has gone cool, take a cloth and put 1 tablespoon of plain white vinegar onto it, about 15 milliliters, straight onto the cloth and not into a bowl of water, and go over the burner caps and the stove top. 30 seconds. That is the entire habit. It works because that day's grease has not been baked a second time. It has no bond. It comes away on the first pass, every time. My grandmother did this every night of her life without once calling it a method. The last thing she did after supper, in that kitchen with the black iron kettle and the 1 small window over the sink, was take the cloth down off its nail by the door, wet it, and go over the stove 1 time. Then the lamp went out. I never in my life saw that stove dirty, and I did not understand until I was 40 that I had been watching the whole secret happen every night for 20 years. Then once a month, the bag and the vinegar and the 30 minutes of tea. Added up. Less time in a whole month than 1 bad scrubbing session on a Sunday. So let me say the whole thing once more, slowly, so you can write it down. For the burners, 2 cups of plain white vinegar, about 500 milliliters, into a gallon freezer bag with 1 grate or 2 caps. Air pressed out, sealed, flat, 30 minutes. Lift out wet, do not rinse. 2 level tablespoons of baking soda, about 30 grams, over each grate. 1 level tablespoon, about 15 grams, over each cap. 3 to 5 minutes of foam. 1 gentle wipe with a soft, damp cloth. Rinse in warm water. Dry completely. For the stovetop, 3 level tablespoons of baking soda and 3 level tablespoons of dish soap, about 45 grams and 45 milliliters, into a thick paste. Spread it on, plastic wrap pressed over the top. 15 minutes, wipe in circles. To keep it, 1 tablespoon of white vinegar on a cloth, once a week. 30 seconds. The full bag soak once a month. By Sunday evening, your burner grates will come up dark and even, and catch the light along every groove, and the stovetop will squeak under a dry cloth. About $3 the first time. After that, $1 every few months, and 30 seconds a week. Now tell me something, because I read every one of these. Tell me how long that crust has been on your burners, and what the last product was that promised to take it off and did not. The amounts are written out in the pinned comment and in the description. Next time, the thing behind your stove that is quietly costing you money every day. A cup of hot water, an old cloth, and 1 thing in that kitchen you have never cleaned once. Until then, waste nothing. Take care of your home, and it will take care of you.